The pipes are calling. The NFL telling Travis Kelce to be corny and being like, hey, you should say something about like, hey, I saw you rock out this. Come see me rock this. Like, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
So dumb. I don't blame her, nor do I think it was wrong to take my mouth shut. Like, as you can tell, I definitely needed my mouth shut. It has a terrible, terrible taste, so you won't like chew through it. But guess what?
You got hungry.
I freaking didn't care. I was getting my mouth open again, so I chewed through this disgusting, and I can't describe to you. I'm going to buy some and make you guys taste it. This is the 80s, so in the 80s, there was a market for shutting people the hell up.
How are we doing over there, Paul?
He's texting with big text letters. He's got them big letters, which is, that's not a great sight.
They are big letters.
He's got those big letters.
No, we probably should have just started out, because I'm going to have to wear glasses soon, so I should probably just put them on now.
And just
That
to
way
show
the
everyone
podcast
that.
will always just think he's
So all
always
of a
had
sudden,
glasses.
if you put them on, do you think you're just trying to be intelligent?
No, but I just can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't like change. You remember when Steve Urkel changed to Stefan? People were
That was the
freaking
end.
out.
That was
was
the
the end.
that was
near
the
the
end
end.
for sure.
Yeah.
I lost interest at that point. Dude, I'm actually pretty tired. My kids, dude, I don't know what they're doing. They got up so early. Like, I wake up and I hear this bouncing ball, like a bouncy ball. It's like 5:30, and all of a sudden I hear this doom, 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 doom. Someone decides to play bouncy ball in the middle of the night. And I go to get up, and then I hear like all these tribal sounds, like, oh, like all these. And I was like, what is happening out there? I'm like, I'm not even going to go out there. It's like
I
the
like
Lord of the
how
Flies.
to you 5:30 is in the middle of the night.
It is. It's pitch
For
black.
sure, in the middle of the
I'm not
night.
getting up to like 8.
Yeah.
But no, it was like a Lord of the Flies situation out there. I was like, they're gonna have to fend for themselves.
Are they all
I'm not
up?
doing it. They were all
A
up.
certain half of society is up by 5:30 a.m.
Yeah, they're losers though.
Yeah.
I call
That's
it
not
the
my
middle of the
jam.
night.
Yeah, like, Paul, we're past that.
Is it
okay?
middle of the night more like 2 a.m. to 4 a.m.?
If you're waking up at 5:30, you got to pull yourself out of
Yeah,
that.
if I exactly if
Snap
I
out of
wake
that.
up and it's dark, I'm upset.
Yeah.
You know how people say you need to conquer the morning? Isn't that one of your favorite things that you heard in life?
Who says that, though?
How come those people waking up at 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. don't have to conquer the night?
we had a
Because
British
they clearly can't stay up past 8 and 10, right? So I think
we
they
had-
need to conquer the night.
Yeah.
You're right. And we had this British rich dude that once came to our work and was like working with management, and he looked at me up and down, right? Just physically,
Undressed you.
spiritually, and just looked at me and says, "You know what your only problem is?" He's like, "You have to conquer the morning." And I'm like,
This is why
you
we-
obviously have been here for 13 seconds because you'd find a laundry list.
This is why we kicked the British
That
out
is
of this
not
freaking
this.
country.
This is what
It's
they
like we
bring
can't
us.
have British people coming in here and tell us what time to get up.
Right.
I love how Alex, like, he doesn't take that as, wow, that guy actually did see into my spirit. He was like, you're an idiot. I have a multitude of problems, not just the morning.
Well, I do. Like if you're saying like, okay, if I'm gonna become like just my ultimate self, like the morning's like it's so far down that list. But I also don't care about it. I don't want to become the ultimate self.
I'm
Like,
actually-
really cool with.
I'm
just
proud
kind
of myself when I
60%.
sleep in. If I can sleep until 9, I give myself a pat on the back.
Oh, you really do?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Because
when that-
eventually I can still do my workout. I just don't have to do a workout in the middle of the night. I'm not about the Goggins life.
Legit, so much guilt if I'm like, it's past 8. It's like, what the freak am I doing?
Yeah,
way. You need that morning breath to kind of marinate in your mouth. you
Yeah,
know?
that's true.
If you still taste the toothpaste from brushing the night before,
Yep.
you're getting up.
You got up
just-
too early. He's right about that.
That's the measuring stick.
I was looking on my Instagram feed. I have like random news stuff that pops up, and one was these Colombians tried to send cocaine in rollerblades. So they ended up like coming to the U.S. and then getting confiscated, and they find coke in the freaking wheels.
In the
of
wheels, that's what I
rollerblades.
was going to ask where at.
Can you imagine, like back in the day when we rollerbladed, if I had cocaine? I mean, I was already a wild man.
Dude,
on those
cocaine.
blades.
You combine cocaine with Lightning TRS and some ABEC 5s.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's a deadly combo.
Didn't exist in my day. None of those things.
Yeah, what were you? You guys weren't skateboarding. You didn't really have anything.
No, so because I grew up on a farm,
Yeah.
this is what we had. This is legit. We would actually, I don't know if I should talk about this. Is there a statute of limitations on
Hey, what was segregation like?
Yeah, we definitely kept the horses and the cows separated. There
Gotcha.
was segregation going on.
What kind of farm were you on again?
Dairy. It was a dairy farm.
So you were up every morning.
No, like my dad, we were an odd dairy farm because there's like several dairies where I was at, right? Like 20 or 30 of the people out there were just dairy farmers. And most of them, yeah, they were up at 5 or 4 a.m. and milking the cows. My dad took like a weirder approach. Like he'd pretty much 6 a.m. So it wasn't like awful.
He was like the us of
Farmers,
Yeah,
yeah, yes,
farmers.
dairy farming, yes. Yeah, 100%. So like if you're not up till 6, because then you got to go get the cows and then bring them in. And so like where most people are almost done milking their cows by 7, we were kind of just getting started. It was a little wild.
yeah.
That's wild.
It was also my it was like my go-to to miss church too, was like just be really slow about milking the
and
cows
then-
on a Sunday morning.
Sorry, Dad.
That's why-
And
that's
then
why-
you're just, I'm not done by 9, and yeah, you guys got to head to church, but I'll wrap up here.
That's why I had so many kids. It's like just to miss church. 'Cause, you know, they have that young age. They're not really a little too rambunctious. They go, I'll take them home, hon.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to get to church right now for me, for sure.
So I have.
I
I gotta look this up.
So I have a new Instagram follower I'm really into. It's this Russian one.
Pull it up. Let's watch it.
Yeah. Okay. So what you see right here, you got your abominable snowman, right?
Yes.
This is obviously legit.
That
And
is
he just
real.
rolls
That's in
down-
Russia?
This is in Russia. This is why you just gotta be.
That's incredible.
And just take. I mean, that's a look at how.
He is ragdolling that guy.
Yeah, what is going on with the guy? Is he
And then-
tied to him?
What
I
happened
know
with
it's just
his
a backpack, guys.
What happened with his coordination there? Because all of a sudden, the
that's
squatch
just
is
his
going
backpack.
down.
But this is, this is where you get into the spirituality, right? Like I think there's probably some holy water or some sort of cross or something that and it just immobilized it.
You think that guy survived? It is a human he's dragging, right?
I'm more worried about the Squatch, dude. The
Yeah, he
human,
takes a
there's
good
billions
tumble.
of those, dude. You got
Takes
like
a really hard tumble.
you got
there.
maybe 6 confirmed Squatches in the world. So
Yeah, that's
And
a
that
good
might be
piece
an,
of footage.
like-
Who is that?
So
What's
this
the
is look at
Instagram?
this Russian.
Look at this Russian.
Yeah,
yeah,
and this
they're
is
good stuff.
Yeah, this is one that you can. This is really a rabbit hole that you can fall
Yeah.
into. So, but yeah, you can. And this really brings me to a subject that we don't cover enough, which is the abominable snowman, right? And the differences between abominable snowman and Sasquatches.
Oh, I was thinking it was the same thing.
No, they're very different,
I hadn't
right?
called that guy a
They're for
squatch.
sure the
So
same
different that
thing.
if you were to breed the two,
That's like saying so are you just saying a polar bear and a grizzly bear are different?
yeah, no, yeah,
They're both bears.
for sure, yeah. Can we like this is like an animal that looks similar, right? And they can breed, right? A snowman and a squatch can breed, but their kids wouldn't be fertile. Like their kids couldn't have kids, kind of like a mule or like
mule?
a,
That's what I was going to ask. Is this like a mule?
yeah, hybrids are called, right? So
Hey, what do you got, Paul?
For Instagram photos. This guy, I don't have a clue how he would know whether snowmen and
He knows
can or
everything,
can't
dude. We're gonna
reproduce.
get to that segment.
Anyway, I love this girl, Annie Agar, I think is how she says her last name, but it's Annie Agar 5 on Instagram.
Yeah.
And she does these hilarious, sarcastic satire pieces about the NFL each week and makes fun of like just coaches or players or just things that went on that week in the NFL.
Field. If Justin was the 49ers quarterback, they would have won by 10. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Will you shut up? Justin Herbert is now a 3-time MVP in hypothetical situations. Okay, and lastly, I would like to congratulate your Super Bowl 58 champions, the Kansas City Chiefs.
you guys.
Also, as you guys heard, Taylor was in Japan before the game, any further away from the Super Bowl, and she'd be the Chicago Bears. Also, some people are mad at Tony Romo for cutting off Jim Nance on the game-winning touchdown. I was not that bad. Patrick and SpongeBob called a better game. Travis Kelce had himself quite the day. He finished with 9 receptions and domestic battery. He had more boosters in the first half than yards. Travis Kelce was more upset pushing Andy Reid than Swizz Beatz watching the halftime show. In unrelated news, Taylor Swift's new single Travesty is about to drop. I'm gonna go. In all seriousness, though, I do want to say thank you to the fans for their patience this year. It's hard having people come to NFL games who don't know the rules of football, like Kyle Shanahan.
yeah, man.
I don't know if I'm gonna add her as a follow, but
That's
it's
too
clever.
sore.
No, I like that. I
It's
like
clever,
that a lot.
dude.
It,
Dude,
if you like to laugh at,
What happened with Russell Wilson?
dude, don't even start me with Russell Wilson. Because we have businesses in Denver, right? So I'm pretty connected to the Broncos and follow them and hear a lot about them. I freaking can't process in my head what the freak is going on in that organization. So Think of all the NFL teams that don't have a quarterback right now. Like maybe you're the Jets and you don't have a quarterback, or you're the Atlanta Falcons, or you're the Indianapolis Colts, or the Steelers, or the Raiders, right?
Can I fact check and say the Jets have Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, did he play football last year?
I'm saying
4
like,
plays?
Okay, but he's going to play this year.
Oh my gosh.
So they do have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Colts
I'll
have
give you
Matt
the rest of
Ryan
them.
too.
I'll give you
How'd
the rest
that
of
go?
them. I'll give you the rest of them.
Freaking you guys thinking 40-year-olds can play football just because
Oh
one
my
person did
gosh.
it. Because now what are they going to do?
I get it, but
Gonna
if
go
you're
pick up
if
Jimmy
you're
Garoppolo or
yeah,
what?
but if you're a big Broncos fan, do you see hope winning a Super Bowl with Russell Wilson?
For sure.
No,
Why?
because he's
They
it's just-
went. They went.
He's had his
dude,
time.
it's
I
not-
get that he's
I
a
know,
serviceable
listen,
quarterback.
Listen. You have your head so far up the 49ers' butt week to week. You
Have you seen Brock
don't
Purdy? He's
even know
adorable.
what goes on in the other
He's adorable.
teams. Okay,
Is this a time where you need to have your mouth taped again?
They'd
What
rather
happened?
go drink at Costco
Tell me.
I'll grab the duct
than
tape.
even give any thought to what it is.
Who
or isn't,
duct
if that
taped your
makes
mouth
sense.
when you were a kid? Is that a real story?
Yeah, that's more than once. Like that's was.
Who?
So I had this teacher, Mrs. Young. I had her in 2nd grade and then again in 4th grade because she like switched. And like it's not her fault. Like I don't blame her, nor do I think it was wrong to tape my mouth shut. Like as you can tell, I definitely needed my mouth shut. Like
Okay,
I was a little
but
kid.
she-
I didn't shut up.
What type of tape did she use?
So they had this, and they probably still have it. There's this tape specifically designed to tape people's mouths shut because it has this terrible.
So is it a? I've been to Walmart and looked. I don't see anything like that.
Am I allowed to grab my phone and look it up? I can find the name, but it has a terrible taste, so you won't like chew through it. But guess what?
You got hungry.
I freaking didn't care. I was getting my mouth open again, so I chewed through this disgusting, and I can't describe it. I'm gonna buy some and make you guys taste it.
No.
No. You have to just so you can know what I chewed through.
I think that's a product that like would just have a tough time finding root in the free market.
You will
Yeah,
not
maybe in the
silence me.
farmers market. Maybe back when you were
Yeah,
a kid,
but
they would
guys,
just.
This is the 80s. So
Yeah.
in the 80s, there was a market for shutting people the hell
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Here, let me show you my Instagram guy real quick.
All right, all we would need is like a very specific 10-inch 2x4 and then another one stacked just like this on top of it, and this would be fixed. It'd be fixed. No way. No way. No way. Yes! Finally! Something like this? No way!
It's so good because it's just true.
Yeah.
They're just a funny
I
little.
love that. That's pretty cool. That
Yeah, that's the McFarlanes. They're a funny little.
Well, yeah, that dad being that
dad's
old
good,
and
yeah.
being like, hey, yeah, let's create.
He does
these
it.
fun
They do a
videos.
bunch of them. They're funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
You know, I hate Costco, right? I hate going in there.
For
the whole
sure.
experience, like a warehouse.
Yeah.
It's dark, and then you go in with this big thing, and you're like, "Oh, I'll just get like, some like a loaf of bread." And you end up leaving with like a flat screen.
Yeah.
I just hate going in there.
And the old people.
I got this guy. He's our official Costco correspondent.
Okay.
You got to check him out.
Let's do
I
it.
had him go in there. I had him do some reviews. So he's our go-to guy for Costco.
Is he going to help us so that we don't buy the unnecessary things?
100%.
All right, Z, here we are again, your local Costco correspondent. Another top-notch item that I know I'm really excited to bite into. Fun fact about these is they don't let you buy them in singles, you have to buy doubles, so don't ever get bamboozled, okay? Let's crack this open and give it a go. We went with the poppy seed muffin here. So I'm gonna do something kind of untraditional. I'm gonna break down the bun here and just go straight bite style, kind of like a hot dog almost. When evaluating a muffin, especially a Costco muffin, I'm going to break my own rule to never say the word moist on this, but I'm going to say you're looking for moist in combination with tenderness. And the moistness here is really top notch. Feels like a 3-bite situation instead of a 2, so I'm going to take one more. This is a gotta have item. Not only for your road trips with your kids, but for you as an adult late night snack.
That guy is a national treasure.
Yeah, he's a
What a good
hero.
find.
Here, do they get Purple Hearts?
They get Purple Hearts. What do you think of those poppy seed
Who-
muffins? You've had those before?
I love
man.
them personally.
Yeah, those are excellent.
They're
They do
amazing.
get stuck, like the little poppy seeds do get stuck in my teeth.
Can you
but
actually test positive if you for like?
allegedly, that's what Elaine said on Seinfeld.
Yeah, I've heard that rumor. I don't know if that's actually true.
Yeah,
happened to Elaine.
Seinfeld set poppy seed back years.
Yeah, for sure.
It was on a big tear in the 90s, if you guys remember. There's poppy seeds and everything.
Yeah, we always had poppy seeds at our house. Those poppy seed muffins, but I like the chocolate ones. The
Chocolate muffins.
muffins you get from Costco.
And I love his use of the word moist. It's one word I want to really
an
bring back.
underused-
And
yeah.
I actually blame cancel culture and just the female race in general for kids like boys. They just don't like it. They don't like
because
the
it's
word.
hard to describe
This is a good
food.
time to get that tape out.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now.
So a lot going on in the world, but a lot of what we are today is really a product of our past. And I know we have a local expert.
We traveling in time.
We're traveling in time.
I'm gonna take you back to the year 1750. You guys ever heard of Captain James Cook?
Yeah.
You have? What do you know about him?
He's Captain Hook from Peter Pan.
No,
No,
different guy.
definitely not.
No, that guy's
Different
name
guy.
is James Cook.
Yeah, I bring this up because
That's
Just
James.
kidding.
yeah,
That's Hook.
I bring this up because we all just went to Hawaii, right?
Okay.
So Cook, he was this just genius. He goes out to the French and Indian War. He's a young naval officer there, and he just becomes this madman for cartography. So he's like maps the St. Lawrence River. So after he maps it really well, the ships can come in and essentially they just dominate the French at that point. So that helps a ton. So when he comes back, he's a legend. Everyone loves him. So the English are like, we got to get this guy like doing all types of awesome things. So they were like, hey, we're going to set up this expedition for you. We're going to send you out to Tahiti first.
So who's sending him out? Like who?
The King George, I think the third.
Okay.
Yeah, King George III sends him out to Tahiti to be like, hey, we want you to study the stars. And they had some Venus thing coming across so we know how far away the sun is from Earth. They're trying to figure out all this stuff. I mean, that didn't go so well, but he puts together this crew to go out there.
Why did they want to like solve that though? Like what
They're
was
just curious people at that
that
time.
legit?
A lot of
That's all it
curiosity.
is. Just curiosity.
And it kind of gets people out, like whatever they discover, they can put a flag, an English flag down, and like.
Yeah, I think the king's motive was probably more like they love surrounding themselves with like the science and the arts because they're always showing off to their richer neighbors,
Yeah,
right?
and there was always, I mean, everyone's battling for the French, always like the
So
Spanish.
is it like the 1490s we're discovering America? So everybody's like out trying to discover new lands, or
No.
is it like
At this point, this is 1750, so there is new lands that people haven't discovered. That's what so essentially he goes to Tahiti, but what he would do is he like emphasized health on his whole crew. So he wanted everybody healthy to beat scurvy. So he'd give them like sauerkraut and other like healthy options. And if you didn't follow his rules with health, he would flog you. He would beat the crap out of you, and essentially like to keep everyone in line. So he
bit of
got
a dictator then?
Yeah, he was kind of wild away. Anyways, from Tahiti he goes down. He charts all of New Zealand. Takes him months, and he kind of goes off of like the coast of Australia, and charts Australia. I don't think the indigenous people loved him, but like he didn't do anything too crazy. I know like at one point these two, like when they got to Australia, first he almost crashes on the Barrier Reef, and then like almost dies there. By the time he gets to land, these two indigenous people show up. It's like a father and son, and he kind of points his gun at them, and they're like showing that they run the land, and he shoots at their feet to like scare them away.
I was about to say, so if you run up on these two guys,
He
they don't even know what a gun is.
He shoots at their feet, and they keep coming forward. He ends up shooting one of the guys.
I was gonna
so
say,
he's not the
like-
greatest dude in the world.
But
Yeah.
if you don't know what a gun is, and some guy's pointing
Yeah.
at that, he's like, you're like, he's pointing a stick at me. Like, what is wrong with this guy?
And also,
so you
like-
keep walking.
Yeah,
But after the first couple shots, you might be like, what the heck is going on, right?
yeah. And so he was just an interesting character. Like a lot of his crew, they get uber horny, and they were desperate, and so they get to some of these random islands they'd hit, and they would go on their ships and pull out nails because these islanders, they didn't have a ton of iron,
Okay.
and they would just trade nails for
For
sex.
sex?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild.
And we've
But
all been there.
we've been there.
Guilty.
Why didn't they just
For
use
sure.
their charm?
I don't
With
think
the
they had a
ladies.
ton. I don't think that language barrier and like I don't know. I think they probably
Dude.
did some of that.
It's
Paul
a
lived an
universal
island.
language.
Paul
Yeah.
lived an island,
Yeah,
island life.
Yeah,
and
you know that life. You've probably been given nails. At
Well,
some
he has.
point.
He might not believe in white privilege. He could definitely flash a white privilege card out there, and
Dude, so he goes
Yeah,
down.
If there ever was white privilege, it is when you're on an island because
sure.
you're like one like you're
Yeah,
maybe 4 of you exist on the whole island, and so you're like this prized possession. You're like a unicorn.
yeah.
Yeah, this guy was viewed as a unicorn, but he goes down to he charts Australia, and like even the French were like, this guy's amazing. We've been here, but like no one does maps like Captain Cook. So the English are just jacked. They're pumped. They're like, hey, we want you to find this continent. There's this continent that like the Romans had talked about. It's this like mythical continent. It's like really far south. So he heads out south and essentially gets to like Antarctica and is like, hey, this is as far south as anyone's been. There's nothing out here. It's all ice. And he comes back, and eventually they're like, hey, we want you to go on another mission. We want you to find the Northwest Passage. So he takes off with the ship.
Hold on. So was it called the Northwest Passage at
At the
that time?
time, I think that's what they called
Well,
it.
what
They
did he
thought
find it? If they've already named it, somebody's already found it.
I think they have an idea of it. So like he goes up like I think this route this is where on his way to this one he runs into the Hawaiian
So
Islands.
this is like somewhat legendary as well, and they
Yeah,
want him to
very
actually
much.
map
It's very
it.
much not
100%.
charted, right?
Yeah, it's not charted.
Yeah.
I mean, and this whole time while he's going up there, he's charting everything like
Dude, I
awesome.
think
He's
you
like
just taught me
just
something,
awesome
I
with
think.
maps.
That's why they call it uncharted waters.
There you go.
Is that why?
I don't know.
Well, they call it chartography.
Yeah,
Just kidding. No, it's
they don't?
cartography. Gotcha.
Anyways, he's the first European to hit the Hawaiian Islands, and he stops there on his way. He goes up to the Bering Strait and goes up through like Siberia and just hits ice and is like, hey, we can't make it up through here either. So he comes back down. He charts all of the Canadian coast. He's like awesome at that. And he gets back to Hawaii, and I think one of the natives like steals his boat. And so he's like, hey, to get my boat back, I'm going to take your king and hold him hostage. And they're done with the Europeans at this point, and they just kick the shit out of them. They seriously
Who does? The Canadians?
the Hawaiians.
The Hawaiians.
This is in
do.
Hawaii.
Okay.
The Hawaiians they kill him. They just kill him. So in Kona, we were just in Kona.
But he shows
died
up.
in Kona.
But he shows up. They sneak onto his boat and like take off.
Well,
to
they were just
sea,
being
or,
funny
like-
tricksters. They're just like, hey,
They were
let's-
done. At that point, they're like, dude, we're done with these Europeans.
Yeah.
They didn't like them.
Well,
So
weren't
they killed
the
him.
Hawaiians always done with everybody? Like, pretty much, like ready to go to war when people started.
I mean,
arriving?
they had been like unscathed for years. I mean,
Yeah.
that was until like the 1750s, and he apparently is like the first Europe. I mean, they all probably claim that, but
Yeah,
he was probably the first European to really like chart and mark down Hawaii.
But it didn't go well for him.
No, he
Didn't
got
end
killed.
well, yeah.
they're done.
But he could have been, who knows? We'll never
So that's
know.
the end of it.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious how you find out. Like, if it's the 1750s, okay, I guess, or what year are we in by the time he dies?
like 1760 something,
Okay,
1770.
they kill him in Hawaii. How do you ever find out that that's what happened to him?
I think after they killed him, I think they know he's like a big time guy, and I know they treated his body well after he was dead. Like I think they gave like a ceremony and things. Like it wasn't like this like throw him in the gutter. I think they know
But
like
then what? Did they like post on their Instagram?
yeah, just got
Hey,
back.
France, we
They just
killed
got back.
your
Yeah.
dude?
Yeah, no,
Oh,
this
it
was the
wasn't France,
English.
England.
Dude,
God,
this is
what?
English.
You got to pay attention, dude.
Dude,
This is the
the
English.
story got wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cook's
But
not-
right there in
Cook
Kona-
is not a
right
French
there in Kona
name.
where we were staying is where he had essentially been killed.
Yeah, I'm still curious how they found that out.
But like even maps today are like just because of him. Like he was the man.
But
Yeah.
like, are you saying they like gave the shit back to some of his men and then they went back to eat?
I'm sure
That
that's
also
what
could have happened
Yeah.
too,
They
right?
were like, "Where's Cook?"
They were trying to leave. I know at that point like it was like this big kind of brawl and like guys were on ships like trying to take off and he was trying to get to his ship and as he was trying to escape, they murdered him.
Can you
know how
imagine? Can you?
I
ma-
like? Oh, good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, can you imagine being one of those dudes and you're like you've just left Captain Cook and you're sailing away from Hawaii and you hear this guy has been there for so long and that next morning you go to do your squats and your sit-ups and your push-ups and it's like I'm not going to get beat if I don't
Yeah,
do
it'd be,
these
yeah,
things,
it'd probably be refreshing.
It'd
It's
be
like, I
very
don't have to,
refreshing.
like eat sauerkraut.
I bet you there was like some tears of like joy as they slowly slipped
But
into
like that Antarctica trip, no one died. Like that was unheard of at the time. People were dying. Like you'd lose like half of your men on some of these voyages. And these are like, I mean, he's gone for years.
Yeah, did they just eat fish? Like these guys that did this, like Columbus and some like
I don't know
they
what
just
Columbus
eat
did.
fish out of the sea. every
No,
day or
no. I
what?
think they dried probably some meats. I don't think they're catching a lot of fish in the open ocean. I don't think that's super easy. I mean, maybe when they're getting to some destinations, like they're scaling, or they're going around some coasts, they're able to find fish. But fish isn't like. I mean, I don't think fish is like a plentiful resource when you're in the open ocean.
Hey, this is why we go
What about a
to
dolphin or a shark or something?
I mean, you got to bait those
So it
buggers.
is literally if they were going to
a
be gone
dolphin.
here-
A
Do you
dolphin?
fish for a dolphin? Can you imagine? I think I got
Dude,
something on the line.
Those guys
It's a
back
dolphin.
then, dude. Those guys back then were shooting Moby Dicks and stuff.
Yeah, no, the whole whaling community is hardcore.
Yeah,
you,
but
you would have been a great whaler.
you would have been a
for
great
sure.
whaler.
Going to these little villages and just
I would've
killing
died
whales
so-
for oil.
You talking about those people that died? I would have been one of the first. To
Yeah,
die
I don't think
for
you would have
sure.
survived very long.
No.
You would have been flogged by Captain Cook for sure, because you'd want to eat something crappy. You just drink the whole
Yes,
time.
you'd
Yeah.
be like
And he's
sauerkraut
like,
only.
"Sorry,
and
I
I'd
gotta
be breaking
flog
into
you."
whatever there was, the M&Ms or something.
He'd flog you a lot because you'd be going out and you'd have nails like crazy because you'd be ready. That's your ammunition. So you knew-
Why-
He'd be playing cards
Why
for nails
is
there.
your room full of nails?
So should I get? So let me get into my more condescending voice because I really have to harness my inner condescension when we go into this next segment. And without further ado, here it is.
And
You smarter than us?
Hey, are we just supposed to take it, or do we like kind of?
we kind of have to take it for a minute, and this is what I've been doing my whole life. I let him
Okay.
feel heard, and I don't really.
I'm more of like
Listen.
the interrupting cow.
Yeah, let him
So
talk.
Let him talk.
Let's see what he has to say.
So our bodies we have here, we always kind of have this like this spiritual like thought of like this is all this piece, this chunk, this toe, right? This is all like mine. And for the time being it is, but initially we've actually all these atoms and these molecules that make up our bodies have come from somewhere. Where do you think they came from, Paul?
Typically God, but I don't think that's where you're going today.
Well, I think for sure we can get into the spiritual aspect of it, right? But what I'm basically talking about is everything we have in here we've gotten from like an animal, right? So like
What do you mean from?
from an animal or a plant, right? So all these molecules that make up our bodies, like our proteins and our freaking arms and our muscles, right? Where do you get protein from?
chicken?
Chicken, right?
Chicken.
Right, chicken. So you're eating chicken. So this part of your body is freaking chicken. Every part of your body is either coming from like something around you, right? And a lot of the things that have built your body up is a lot of the things that have built your body up is like the fuel you've eaten, right? So like every part of our body is comes from a plant or an animal that's helped build up our body, right? And like chicken, for example, right? What are chickens eating to build them up so that we can
Seeds,
eat seeds? But if you've been around a lot of chicken,
worms.
yeah, worms and
What else they
freaking
eat?
bugs, dude. They eat
Bugs.
bugs,
So we're made up of worms.
spiders and stuff. So the next time you see a really good-looking girl, you see them curves, just think like what percentage of them curves is spider? Because there's probably a high percent.
Are chickens eating spiders?
Chickens eat spiders. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would assume they do.
I have to ask the farmer.
Yeah,
You guys had
I think they
chickens?
just like but I think they just anything that's on the ground they can peck their little beak on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that little Hawaiian Disney movie where that chicken he's just always pecking things.
Moana?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Hey
that
Hey was that chicken's name?
Yeah.
I feel like when I've been around a lot of like I feel like in Mexico I was around like a lot of chickens and it seems like they were always looking for bugs to
You
freaking
spent-
eat.
sounds like you spent a lot of your time going, how much of that?
No,
person
for
is
sure,
made
you're
up of
thinking
that
about it.
Dirty little chicken.
Yeah.
Well, in Chuk they would eat dogs. So I guess I would be
Yeah.
saying how much? Because
In
dogs,
Chuk?
dogs eat their own vomit, right? So it's like how much of that person was made up of vomit?
People listening
Is that
don't
what
know
you're
what
saying?
Chuk
Yeah,
is.
that's
You
what I'm
gotta say
saying.
what is it in Chuk? Where is that?
Out in Micronesia.
Okay.
Sorry, it's one of the 4 islands of Micronesia. Koh Rai, Pohnpei, Chuk, and Yap make up the Micronesian island.
Did Captain Cook.
Well, they
go
make up
there
the
and
they
trade
make up
any
the
nails?
Federated States of Micronesia because then there's also Palau and Koh Rai I think is part of the Marshall Islands. I could be wrong. I don't know. Can't remember anymore. The Marshall Islands, like they don't like to be lumped in with
Yeah.
Micronesia anymore because they just want to be there on Marshall Islands. But I think a lot of people still call them part of Micronesia.
It's like
Yeah.
like England with
But-
like Britain and Europe,
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants
Yeah.
to be done. They want to be done. I
Yes.
don't know if they actually do. I think they somewhat want back, but It's a whole thing.
So back to your talk about like we come from seeds or animal, right?
Yeah.
But like, where does because it's got? Are you just saying like the circle of life or what?
It's kind of a
Because-
circle of life, right? But I mean, eventually you're going to trace it back to like if like the scientific side of it,
Because
you're
what-
looking back to a star, right? Like freaking exploding, creating carbon and oxygen and nitrogen, all these elements that existed within like a star once upon a time, you know?
No.
You're not
This
into
is
that.
getting deep.
No,
I
it's
love
not.
it.
And it's like, that's actually a weird thing because there's one cell organisms, bacteria, right?
Uh-huh.
What do they call two cell organisms?
That's a great question.
It's the reason you're confused because there's not. They don't exist.
Well, I mean,
It doesn't exist.
so there's no double.
There's no double. So
So it's either multi-
So this belief that we were one cell and then we grew into a 2 and then a 3 and then a 4 and now what, I don't know what a human is, but
Yeah.
whatever, how many cells, right? It doesn't exist. We have a one cell and then we have million cell organisms. But
No, I
this
think-
gap,
I
this
think there's a-
gap between it doesn't exist. And so how do we sit and say that it started like this and then grew into this? It didn't grow into this clearly because
But
How come it's
there's
not
million
existent?
cell organisms and there's billion cell organisms, and that every organism has different amount of cells. You and I have different amount of cells.
Sure, but how come there's a one cell organism, but then there's not a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or a 5 or a 6?
Well,
it's like this big, huge gap between the two.
But I think the process, I mean, there's like a lot of like science that you can get into this, right? But I think the process to like creating another cell is either like meiosis or mitosis, right? So that's
They
either
split, right?
they're either split or meiosis is like that's the
Merging?
That's the boy girl one. Yeah, that's the merging one, right? And so I think once they split, you know, you're programming to split, they're gonna keep splitting. You know, it's like you can't tell something it can split, and then once it splits, like, man, that was amazing. You can't split anymore, right?
Sure.
Like that's a hard thing to ask
Totally
of a
following you,
two-celled
but
organism.
If bacteria, for example, splits,
Yeah.
shouldn't there be a 2 cell at some point before it then gets excited and splits to a 4 and then an 8 and then a 16 and then a 32?
Yeah.
There's a problem. I'm just telling you, there's a big problem. Kind of like
This is
landing on the
the big
moon. There's a
missing
big
link.
problem.
That's
Like you
missing the-
can't just keep claiming this crap because there's a big problem. With
See, and
big
I
claims.
actually am. So when I get into this stuff, I like to. It has to see this argument. I think is like it's tough for me to grab onto a lot because there's probably a million reasons if we spent 2 seconds on Google seeing why we're not finding 2 and 3 cell organisms out there. There's probably a lot of reasons why, but we haven't delved too far into it. But I don't like. I mean, I actually really appreciate the idea of evolution, right? Because where I'm grounded in is like people talk about like afterlife, and they're, you know, you and I, well, I mean, all three of us have spent a lot of time with religion
I thought you were gonna
on
say in
missions
the
and then
afterlife.
after that. But people talk about the afterlife, and there's like some people have this idea of heaven of like, you know, just like this perfectly easy resting spot where you can just chill all day. And doesn't that sound? I mean, that sounds freaking miserable to me.
Sounds terrible.
One
No,
reason I love
for sure
evolution
sounds terrible.
is it's like, hey, there's a constant need to like improve, to grow, to develop, to, you know, to change, right? And I think that to me is something that's like core within me. So that's why I have zero beef with the idea of evolution that way.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I think of heaven, it's got to be happy, and usually when you're doing something hard and you accomplish things, you're happier than like chilling on the
but
beach.
Let me put it out a better way, okay? There's an episode on The Twilight Zone where this guy gets, I can't remember if he won a wish or magical power, but anyway, he gets the dream of his life. Like whatever he wants, he gets it. So what he wants is to live in this huge penthouse in Vegas and gamble and win and have women and like just live it up, right? The Vegas lifestyle. So he gets it, and first day he goes down to the casino, and every time he does the roulette thing, it lands on whatever number he's getting every time. And he's just living it. It's awesome, right? Goes up that night. He's rich. Any lady he approaches wants him. It's
Here's your
freaking
nails.
Awesome. Yeah, here's your nails. They
I
want
gotcha. How many you need?
But by day 3, when he's playing roulette, and he's never a loss, right? He never loses. How fun is roulette?
Mm-hmm.
It's not fun. There's no excitement. There's no anticipation. There's no unknown, right? And so it becomes very boring. And every time I walk up to a woman and she wants me, there's no excitement there either, right? So quickly he learns that
In the
just
story, not in
getting-
your real life, because
yeah, but in the story, but you
Paul's
quickly
happily married.
learn that without opposition, what happiness, right? Roulette, for example, it's no longer fun because
Yeah.
every time I pick black 5, it hits black 5. Every
Okay.
time I hit red 18, it hits
Okay,
red 18.
so to play devil's advocate here, right? Because I agree with you. You know, if opposition and failure at any level is an option, are we God's failed batch? Like, are we a God experiment to like improve?
Improve him.
And he's
Is that
like,
what you're saying?
yeah, and we're like, this is a failure, right? Like, is humanity a failure?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's an interesting question to
just
ponder.
getting those wheels turning.
yeah,
I don't know, dude. That's a weird question, but I have pondered what you were kind of saying. Is like, is there really any happiness to be in heaven if everything's just happy?
I think it's gonna work itself out. I think you're just gonna have. I mean, that's when I'm happy. This is when I'm doing something hard and I accomplish it.
yeah, the
But
progression, right? Like,
Maybe there's times of rest. I don't know. It'll be interesting if I get there, because I'm planning on going down. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
but
you got
if you're going
to
down-
you got to start from the
But even
bottom.
if you're going
Mistakes. You talked
down-
about those nail mistakes.
Nobody wants to start a game at the end, right? Like you want to like begin at the beginning, so you
And
got to
you
go.
want it-
You got to go to
yeah.
the bottom.
No one's
first.
playing Mario if you're just running straight the whole time.
what's
to
the
a
opposite?
flag.
What's the opposite of the story I just told? Where like every time you spin the wheel, it hits
You
red.
lose?
Yeah, so it's just you
That's
lose.
yeah, you just lose. That
You
sucks.
just lose.
Yeah.
It's because the same
That's-
way that the happiness would just fade away. Like
Well, the hope, the
roulette's boring.
despair. I think
If
despair.
every time
Yeah.
is just lost, does it just become like not a big
You
deal?
think that's what hell
anymore?
is like?
Yeah,
is
I
where you
think-
feel like you're constantly losing your money.
I don't know
Yeah.
because
That
if
table.
all you know is that, does it even bug you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I just don't think there's like a. I think it becomes like a callous thing, right?
Yeah,
like it's the
yes,
opposite
yes,
effect,
that's-
right? Like
that's-
you're like, well, I'm not going to win, so why try?
Yeah,
Right?
Like every day I wake
just
up, I stub
give
my toe.
in
Like,
to,
yeah,
like,
whatever, stub my toe.
nothingness
I
there.
can brush my teeth now.
Yeah.
That's what always happens.
Yeah.
So to that point, there is no misery.
I mean,
So
I-
I think that the growth pattern still has to exist. The chance of getting out of hell has to exist, and so it's that climb that makes you miserable. That dang it, I almost made it and then I didn't, and so now you're miserable again. Like you can't just.
But
I mean, our brains aren't functioning to understand the ways of God anyway. But it's a little hard to understand this. Like you're just in hell and that's that.
Yeah, it's like final.
Yeah,
Like
that
there's
it's
not
final.
another chance of like working your way back up. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
yeah, I do know, but I'm going to let you guys develop
Oh,
eventually.
damn.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Next
Sorry.
Next pod,
Yeah.
you tell us.
No, it'd be little by little.
He's spoken to the 2-cell organisms and he knows.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's like, I mean, it's just tough when you, like you mentioned, right? Like your brains aren't ready to compute it. But
Yeah.
I just want to talk a little bit about your thoughts on the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing, Paul. Just so you kind of,
Fake relationship.
yeah. Okay.
Fake ship.
Okay. Go on.
Do you give it another year? Do you think it survives that long?
Well, if it was a relationship, then no, I wouldn't. But I don't think it's a relationship, right?
What do you
It's
think they're doing?
an arrangement?
By who?
So
Is this
that-
going back
that's
to the
question.
lizard people
So this-
setting this,
yes,
setting
yes.
this up?
Hey, you guys know I
No,
like a good conspiracy.
I love this.
Yeah.
I was going to bring it up on your James Cook thing because I
Oh,
was.
geez, leave James out of this.
He's already
I'm just
dead.
saying, what if they were on their way back and someone in the crew just didn't like him and so they killed him, threw him overboard, and then like everybody came up with this story that the Hawaiians killed him.
Well, the Hawaiians attest to it, like it happened. Anyways, go back to
I
your.
don't know. You're 300 years later. You're telling me that they did admit to it. You know how easy it is after people
Well,
are
we
gone
can.
to just say no.
Like,
That's
there's
what
a
they admitted
conspiracy
to.
about everything. Did you actually get up
Anyway.
at 5:30 today?
Here's the like for sure, the NFL profited on like crazy amounts of money by that relationship existing, right? But I just don't know like that they're big enough to even convince Taylor Swift to do it. That's my problem with just saying the NFL rigged this thing so that these two would get together and they'd get all these new viewers. I just don't think the NFL has enough sway to Taylor Swift to say, hey, we need you to come on board and date this football player, because the NFL will benefit under that story, right? But what does Taylor Swift get out of it?
No, it would have started with the NFL telling Travis Kelce to be corny and being like, hey, you should say something about like, hey, I saw you rock out this. Come see me rock this. Like, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
So
but
dumb.
he was slipping into her
So you're
DMs
telling
with
the
way
NFL
more
that's,
smooth
hey,
lines.
Travis, we got a great pickup line that will make this look organic.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I can't get on board
I-
with people who say the NFL put this together like that.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Swift gets nothing out of that. So you have to say, where would Taylor Swift benefit? And she's kind of a political activist, right? Like she doesn't like the Mr.
disagree.
Trump. She doesn't like the.
I mean, I think
I'm
she
gonna
doesn't.
send you some videos about her crying to her dad because her dad's telling her, "Don't talk about these things. You're a freaking artist. Don't go in the political world. Stay
Who
in
was
your
filming?
freaking
The
lane."
mom was like, hey, this is a great
Sobbing.
chance for me to film
She's
you
sobbing.
to
Daddy,
a
I
daddy-daughter
love it.
moment.
I have to. It's like her dad's like telling her, like, don't do this. You'll alienate people, right? So the only world I can like wrap my head around is like somewhere the government came to her and the NFL and said, hey, we want to do this thing. Because then because Taylor Swift got way more popular too, right? And most NFL fans, right? Most probably vote which way?
I mean, I think you're saying most NFL fans are going to be Republicans.
Yeah, going to be conservative or, you know. And so they're like, hey, we got to course them a little bit. So if we can get them to like you a little bit, then they'll listen to your message a little bit, right? We'll bring them a little. I'm not saying you're going to swing them from Republican to Democrat, but you're going to bring them a little more towards the middle.
Yeah.
Right. And so to me, that seems like a more logical thing because there's no world of me that believes she actually wanted to just date this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a tough time with this.
She's dating
this whole
Kennedys
conversation
and
stuff.
John Mayers
I
and
get
stuff.
it. I just think here's
I mean,
what I have to look at this, right? I think these things go a long way to hurt, really like to hurt like the seriousness that you can take a political party if like this is being swept away with it. Because
What
I
did
think
you just say? What?
I think when you're like when this is your top of mind, like this is your argument, like this is what's wrong with the country is like, I mean, because this consumed, like at least for me, social media was consumed by these conspiracies for like weeks, right, leading up to the Super Bowl and even after the Super Bowl, right? Instead of things that really matter, which is like a ton of things, right?
Kyle
we're,
Shanahan,
we're stretching because
Debo.
and like even you are saying like
I thought he was saying things that really
It
matter,
would be
like political
such a
things.
stretch
It's
to
no,
say that-
football things.
don't get me wrong, I think the CIA like rigs governments and does all sorts of stuff, right?
Thank you.
But I think this is such a stretch for them to where I'm like, and then what do we like? Even if like you can prove it, like what are you getting out of it?
I don't like. I understand that, but you saw the Fruit of a Loom thing, right?
No, I didn't see it.
You didn't see that? So there's this thing.
I mean, I feel like I've heard of this.
Joe
but-
Rogan even talked about this. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it's
Sure.
called like whitewashing or something like that. Like the government set out to say, could we convince people that stuff they thought existed doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah.
So one of the first ones that happened to me is I see this video that's like, you think that Ed McMahon went around with Publishers Clearinghouse with these big checks and knocked on people's doors and said, hey, you want? I'm like, yeah, I saw that all growing up. That was like the commercial the whole time. But then you start Googling it, it's just gone. And so you start like, am I crazy? Then they went on to the Richard Simmons, and he used to wear these wristbands and his headbands, but now they've like tried to take that out. So they do the Fruit of a Loom one, and Fruit of a Loom guys, the grapes and the cantaloupe and the watermelon or whatever's in
Great
there,
logo.
Yeah.
the logo used to come out of a cornucopia. And people started saying like, no, it was in a cornucopia. And they were like, no, it didn't, right? Because they scrubbed the internet of any evidence of it. So if you go to Google it and show
Yeah.
people, like, there's none. And so you're like, oh my, what
You
the
had
heck?
Luckily,
to
I-
find your old
yeah,
underwear.
luckily I
So
have
that's
mine.
what happens is this lady's freaking losing her mind. And so she, like, I don't know if she found them or bought them off eBay or found them in an antique store or whatever, but she finds it. And like, but before I even go that far, like she finds it, you go to Fruit of Loom's website and they specifically took time out of their lives to make a statement on their thing. Like, hey, we know there's a lot of stuff going around about whether we did or didn't have a fruit coming out of a cornucopia. We definitely did not. Please stop spreading these these conspiracies, because they're in on it with the CIA, right? And so they post that. Fruit of a Loom says, no, that never happened. We never had a cornucopia thing. But then the lady finds them, and other people now since, right, are like, no, these people are so full of crap. It's right here.
Is there like a new
Same
CEO
thing-
that just doesn't know the history of like their logos and is like, hey, I don't know what.
See, and that's the problem is like you guys start getting like, no, you took time out to make that statement. You're going to make damn well sure that you're telling like the right story.
Yeah, I'll have to look
right?
in the Fruit of the Loom thing.
And so
Yeah.
it's a governmental operation to say, could we whitewash it and make all of society believe a certain way?
Yeah.
Even though they lived it and they experienced it, can we convince them that they didn't? And Yeah, they are. They're capable. And so you're like, oh, what do they gain for? I don't know. What the frack? Like half the stuff they do, what do they gain
Can we
for?
whitewash
These guys
that
are
the
nuts.
Chiefs beat the Niners?
Yeah, I would love
wanna,
that removed from
get that
history.
off of history.
Like, don't remember
could.
remember the game.
So they're capable of removing
If-
this logo. Maybe.
If we run the ball,
yeah,
on
you're
fourth
saying
down, we could have erased that. But
Yeah.
Kyle's too busy.
man. Now
Let's
we don't-
end this thing on a lighter note. What's your what's your go-to fast food right now, Paul?
Fast food, Chick-fil-A.
For real?
Yeah, because like I don't like McDonald's at all.
Is
and
Chick-fil-A in the same category as McDonald's though? Because I feel like it's a little classier, maybe a little
Yeah.
more expensive.
It's for sure.
So it's like-
It's for sure way more expensive.
yeah, so it's not the same thing.
Yeah, you're
Way
like
more.
picking.
Because like I ran to McDonald's for you when we were in Hawaii, and it was $13 or something, and I'd added an extra fry
Yeah.
and stuff.
and you probably didn't use a coupe. I could have gotten
And
your coupe.
You can't. I don't even think you can get anything at Chick-fil-A for $13. Probably not even the cookie.
Yeah, that chicken is way better. But I don't know how you don't like McDonald's. You can't find
Okay.
anything there you like. It's flat out
I don't
taste.
and for sure, when I was young, I loved their fries. But even now, I eat their fries. It just tastes like cardboard. Like I don't know what
I
they
would
did.
love
They
to-
changed something.
I'd love to be like
if you
that
like
way.
Chick-fil-A, there's like a sneaky good like poor man's option of
Oh,
it, and that's
really?
the breakfast which I've
Yeah,
gotten you a
the
couple times.
breakfast- yeah.
The breakfast at Wendy's has like a chicken that is so good, and there's always a coupon.
Is it
for
a smaller piece of chicken?
It's a
Is
smaller
that's
piece of
probably why.
chicken
It's
on
probably
a
like-
biscuit.
When you get those big ones, sometimes you get flat. Some of them are like dried out. Like
Yeah, no, this is oh my gosh, and they put some honey on that thing. It's freaking good.
I need to get there.
I know, but the problem is it's only their breakfast, right? But they also muddle it. You know what ruined breakfast for a lot of fast food restaurants that wanted to get in the game was Taco Bell, because Taco Bell gets in the game and they come out with the waffle taco and some other stuff, and it was inedible, right? Like
they
I
were
don't know if
sitting on a nuke, man.
yeah, it was so bad. And so then it's like now nobody trusts anybody coming out with the breakfast because we were so excited about the waffle taco and we were so like hurt. Like I still feel hurt. Like I would love
But isn't-
them to issue
You
a
wrote a
public
letter.
letter.
I remember that.
Yeah, I
Isn't
did.
Pete Davidson like on this big thing of breakfast tacos?
Yeah, they're trying to make it funny now, but it's not funny,
But
right?
is it
That's like
good,
joking
though?
about the
I don't eat
Holocaust.
Taco Bell either. That one's- so I'd eat McDonald's before I ate Taco Bell. Probably.
Really?
They're both good. The biggest bang for your buck is at Taco Bell, though. You get the most
Yeah.
amount of food. If
Yeah.
you're like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm just going for caloric intake, Taco Bell.
And it's not just Taco Bell. It's like any of those Taco Bell, like the what's the other one? Taco John's.
No, I actually disagree with you. Taco
No.
Time is always expensive, and it's not
Taco
great.
Time. What's the? There's one in Orem.
Del Taco.
Yeah, like no, maybe it's Del Taco. I don't know. Yeah, the
Del
bang for your
Taco's
buck.
that.
I'm just saying the amount of food you can get.
Sure.
Like you just go get bean burritos, like 6 of them for like $7 or something.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, the BK though still has pretty solid. They still got pretty
Burger
solid
King,
value, man.
they're still
but
open,
people
huh?
don't. Yeah, they don't. Dude, you know where BK's big
How often
is
do
in
you eat a
Australia.
Burger King?
How often? I actually don't eat there that often.
But how often? Once a
I'd-
year?
I'd say once every 2 months. I'm eating at Burger King.
I bet.
I do like it
I
when I eat it
bet-
sometimes.
I bet I have not eaten a Burger King for 2 years at least.
So Zach,
Probably.
tell the story about. so
3?
we had a really good Burger King. This is the reason I don't go that often. Is we had a really good one in where we grew up. Like it was like the only restaurant that we had, and it was good. But Zach went there one time and
yeah.
witnessed something horrific.
Dude, well, first let me say that I love the original chicken sandwich is the best. It's the tops for me.
For
I
Burger
love
King.
it for Burger King.
Burger
Oh,
King.
it's
Wow.
amazing. It's amazing. It's not cheap anymore. It used to be a little cheaper.
It's not comparison to Nielsen's
We
chicken
had-
sandwich though, right?
No, I do like that Nelson's
Okay.
one. Dude, we when I was a kid, we used to go to this Burger King all the time. But we'd go there as teenagers, like punk teenagers. No one had any money. Like you maybe get like a burger or whatever. You just would hang out at the Burger King for some reason. And they kicked us out. And so we're like, these guys are pissing us off. So we went in the back and we see these big barrels full of, must have been grease. And I hear the scratching. There was 2 giant rats in these big grease barrels. It was crazy.
Oh my
So of
gosh.
course, to destroy the business, we went inside and started yelling to all the customers that there was rats. And yeah, eventually they called the cops on us. But
Yeah.
Well, did the cops see the rats?
no, I
No,
think we took off at that
history
point. I
is
think
written-
we were still in the
History is
wrong.
written by the victors,
Yeah.
and Burger King won that day.
No, they actually just went.
Whoa.
That location went out of business recently, but this is like
That's
a
terrible.
long time, 20 years
hey,
ago.
the good news is though, it didn't stop us from eating there. I mean, we'd like
I still,
rats or not.
I still love it.